célébrer la passion du football autour d'une délicieuse 33 Export. Avec 33 Export, on gagne ou on gagne. 33 Export, supporter numéro 1 du football. Boisson du Cameroun.
Vivez les moments de Cannes sur la 106.8 Radio AUDACE à Coeur. La Cannes 2023, c'est sur la 106.8 Radio AUDACE.
Good afternoon to you all, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to joining us on today's edition of a program AUCUN de la CAN on RAS. On today's edition of the program, we shall be taking a step beyond the celebration of yesterday, since host Côte d'Ivoire has qualified for the 2000 of the quarterfinal of the in Côte d'Ivoire itself. And of course, in the street, MUSIQUE was very wide last evening. Man, it's a on to get the reactions of yesterday's celebration in the streets of Yamoussoukro, Bouaké, and Abidjan. We'll be back just after that.
Lazare est mort, il a été ressuscité. La Côte d'Ivoire était morte. C'est ce qui est le Sénégal, qui est une très... Mais est la meilleure. Vous savez, ne fait rien. C'est Dieu qui a permis à ce que la Côte d'Ivoire puisse être troisième, tout le meilleur troisième. Le président de la République de Côte d'Ivoire, c'est son village qui est Yamoussoukro. Donc les joueurs vont venir sur sa tombe et il va nous donner la... Viens vous frapper, vous. Les Ivoiriens, Inch'Allah. La qualification, ici tellement Dieu merci, on dit merci au Maroc, on dit merci aux Marocains, on est ensemble les Marocains. Vraiment, merci pour tout ce que vous faites pour nous. Maroc, Côte d'Ivoire, on est ensemble. Voilà, merci Yamoussoukro. Merci. On est calme. On pense on pensait même pas qu'on allait se qualifier. C'est Dieu qui a voulu. On pensait même pas qu'on allait se qualifier. C'est Dieu qui a venu la Côte d'Ivoire. Le Côte d'Ivoire, c'est venu au nom d'André. Jalousie dedans moi. Tu vois, il n'y a rien dedans. Le Maroc a accepté. On va battre. On attend le Sénégal. On attend le Sénégal. Il y a Dieu dedans. Il y a Dieu. bateau ne peut jamais se gâter.
Voilà, nous sommes qualifiés. Nous allons fréquenter le Sénégal. Hein? Sénégal me sait que Sénégal sait. Parce que nous, on a quitté loin. Donc là, c'est-à-dire, on n'a même pas droit à l'erreur. De toute façon, on a critiqué nous-mêmes nos équipes là. Et ils savent que ça, là, ils doivent faire quelque chose. Quand on va me dire qu'on a Sénégal est chaud, on a que vous avez chaud. Vous savez que vous avez un problème, non? Donc allez-y, c'est les Sénégalais qui ont un problème. C'est quand même. Donc le lundi, c'est 1-0 seulement.
The grit in the Total Energies CAF AUCUN is made of stellar shocks as well as goals, records, history and passionate fans turning up at match venues. In the marquee match of the round, defending champion Senegal will take on tournament host Cote d'Ivoire. The Elephants suffered a shocking 4-0 thrashing by Equatorial Guinea in their final group game, but still advanced. They now face the daunting task of overcoming an informed Senegalese side yet to drop a point. Two more African heavyweights will collide when Nigeria meets with Cameroon. Both teams had uneven group games but remained continental powerhouses. Elsewhere, Morocco topped their group without conceding. I will be looking forward to continue their fine form against South Africa. After surprising winning Group A, undefeated underdogs Equatorial Guinea will try to cause another upset against Guinea. First-time knockout Namibia faces a stern challenge from two-time quarter-finalist, that is Angola. Despite an underwhelming group stage, Egypt's pedigree as the most successful Total Energies CAF AUCUN nation makes them dangerous opponents for DR Congo. Other intriguing clashes see Mali take on Burkina Faso, while Cape Verde battle against Mauritania. With sudden death matches between some of Africa's top sides, the Total Energies AUCUN round of 16 promises postulating action and drama as heavy favorites and plucky underdogs collide. I'm being joined in the studio by Janvier Tekendombe. Good afternoon, Janvier.
Yeah, good afternoon, Wanai. Good afternoon to your listeners.
And permit me say Happy New Year.
Yeah, same to you.
All right, in the studio here is Josh Rim. Bon après-midi, Josh.
Bon après-midi, Henri. Bon après-midi à tous les auditeurs.
Gentlemen, the group stage of the AUCUN 2023 has come to an end, and of course the stage is now set for us to have a good romance in soccer with the shocks and surprises here so far. Now, I begin with you, Janvier Tekem. What reading could you make at the just ended group stage of the ongoing AUCUN in Cote d'Ivoire?
Yes, with the competition, it has shown that it is much more getting competitive. Yes, the FIFA relief plan or investment plan, which has really impacted positively to the African game. You can see that the young teams are actually gaining momentum and getting to that first tier when it comes to classification of African football teams. So I think so far so good. We've had 89 goals scored with a kind of roughly 2.57 goals per game, which is something applaudable, because the last time we had a high number of goals per game was in 2008 when Ghana hosted in the group stage. So that was, I think, 3.1 goals per game in that particular edition. So it shows the competition is growing to a level where no big name is can be tapped as at this point in time. We saw how teams have struggled to get into the knockout rounds. We saw how the hosts actually themselves, they got had to wait for Morocco and Zambia to get their results and then qualify. So you start from Group A, you look at it, Equatorial Guinea, like I said, the smaller teams are trying to get to where the bigger teams are. You could see Equatorial Guinea on paper, you know that Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria will top that particular group, but Equatorial Guinea proved it to be a household name, and they had to top that group with 2 wins and 1 draw. Same thing for Cape Verde in Group B with Ghana and Egypt. And then you talk of Cameroon and Senegal in their group, though bookmakers had predicted Cameroon and Senegal to qualify, but they struggled, especially Cameroon also struggled. So you look at it in its entirety, it's an AUCUN where it has brought, or it has exposed the talents Africans have in terms of football evolution. Because if you look at it previously, when the small teams play these big teams, you hear 5-0, 3-0, all those things are just mere history as it stands now. So I think it is really applaudable for Africa, and we hope that this continues. But the knockout, like you said in your opening editorials, it is one game, either you lose or you win. And so you might have a good run in the group stage and you are eliminated at the knockout rounds, just like Nigeria in 2021. They won all group games and went to the knockout rounds and they were eliminated by Tunisia. So there is no guarantee that those who performed well in the group stage will actually do the same in the knockout rounds. That's why I am afraid of such a game like Ivory Coast and Senegal, because a team that struggled, that had to wait for calculators to calculate themselves in terms of qualifying for the group for the knockout rounds, then finally got it. It shows that when they get there, there will be no room for errors. So we just have to wait and see how the knockout rounds will look like.
And of course, we are equally very informed that the challenges are very, very high at this point in time. The mouth-watering fixture is going to see, despite a shaky start for the Indomitables of Cameroon, two giants, that's the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Indomitables of Cameroon, are going to be having another good soccer romance this weekend. And of course, Coach Rigobert Song is on too much pressure. Georges Rim, la groupe phase vient de se terminer. Quel bilan?
Un bilan globalement satisfaisant. Il y a eu, comme d'habitude, beaucoup de surprises, et de belles surprises d'ailleurs, des déceptions, mais globalement on peut se satisfaire du niveau d'ensemble de ce que les équipes nous ont produit en termes de jeu. S'il fallait attribuer une note à cette première phase de la compétition, je donnerais un 15 ou un 16 sur 20 globalement, que ce soit sur le terrain ou même en dehors, pour ce qui est de l'organisation. Les belles surprises, ce sont celles viennent de la part des nations qu'on n'attendait même pas. Certaines ont même réussi l'exploit.
L'Équatorial, Cap-Vert.
Pas la Guinée, parce que depuis le début de la compétition, je vous ai dit, moi je ne considère plus la Guinée comme une surprise, mais comme une confirmation de ce qu'elle demande cette équipe depuis quelques éditions déjà. Je vous ai dit, ça remonte à l'édition, je crois, 2000... c'était quelle année déjà où ils avaient reçu, 2015, je ne sais plus. Depuis cette édition-là, la Guinée équatoriale est régulièrement présente et n'est pas ridicule. Bien au contraire, elle se rapproche un peu plus du dernier carré. Et moi, je ne serais pas surpris de voir cette équipe-là parvenir en demi-finale cette année, si elle continue à jouer comme elle joue. Donc, moi, la Guinée équatoriale n'est plus surprise, c'est une confirmation de tout le bien que, personnellement, je pense d'elle depuis quelques années déjà. Mais les belles surprises, ce sont les pays comme le Mozambique, la Mauritanie, la Namibie et dans une certaine mesure la Tanzanie. Pour certaines même de ces équipes, elles ont remporté leur première victoire à la faveur de cette édition et réussi l'exploit de se qualifier également pour la première fois pour le tour suivant. Donc, elles ont fait d'une pierre deux coups. Winning their first game in any AFCON competition tournament, and by the same occasion, they have succeeded to move on to the next stage. This is the case of Namibians and I think Mauritanians. Ok. Donc, ce sont les belles surprises pour moi. Les déceptions, naturellement, il faut s'y attendre. Et elles sont à l'appel cette édition. Je ne sais pas qu'est-ce qui s'est passé avec certaines grandes nations, mais cette édition sera dans l'histoire comme celle qui aura vu les grands favoris à la peine. Heureusement, certains ont réussi à s'extirper du piège, de ce piège-là, mais d'autres, malheureusement, ils sont restés. Je pense notamment au Ghana, à l'Algérie, la Tunisie. J'ai oublié qu'il a Ghana, Algérie, Tunisie. Oui. Et les pays comme l'Égypte, le Cameroun, la Côte d'Ivoire ont failli y passer. Ont failli. Il a fallu attendre pour certaines, l'Égypte et le Cameroun, le dernier match pour assurer sa qualification. Pour la Côte d'Ivoire, il n'a même pas fallu attendre son dernier match, mais il a fallu attendre le dernier match des autres pour savoir s'ils vont se qualifier. C'est-à-dire que la Côte d'Ivoire a fini de jouer, disputer tous ces matchs, mais ne pouvait dire si elle était qualifiée ou pas. Il fallait attendre jour après jour. Quelqu'un m'a même amusé dans un forum WhatsApp en disant mais la Côte d'Ivoire est la seule équipe qui joue depuis lundi. Depuis lundi, c'est-à-dire que après avoir fini de jouer son match, il fallait maintenant attendre de voir est-ce que c'est le Cameroun qui va lui permettre de se qualifier. Le Cameroun a gagné son match. Est-ce que c'est le Ghana qui va lui permettre de se qualifier? Le Ghana a perdu certes, mais la Mauritanie gagne son match. Est-ce que c'est comment on l'appelle, la Namibie? Non, la Namibie a réussi à faire son match. Est-ce que donc jusqu'à hier, avec la défaite de la Zambie, la Côte d'Ivoire, quoique ayant disputé tous ces matchs, il n'était pas encore certain de continuer l'aventure d'une Coupe d'Afrique des Nations qu'elle organise pourtant. Donc, il y a eu beaucoup de surprises, de belles surprises, de mauvaises. C'est également ça la compétition, mais globalement, on peut se satisfaire du niveau de jeu de cette première phase. Et il faut faire attribuer une mention très 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 spéciale aux petites nations que je viens de citer, le Mozambique, la Tanzanie, la Namibie, la Mauritanie, et bien évidemment féliciter celles qui confirment de plus en plus qu'il faut désormais compter avec elles sur l'échiquier du football africain, notamment la Guinée équatoriale, le Cap-Vert, et les autres n'ont qu'à bien se tenir. Quand je dis les autres, vous voyez de qui je parle.
All right, Jamie Ateke, before the start of this year's competition, we used to tip Algeria, Ghana as the favorites in this year's tournament, as well as Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Egypt, and you name the rest. But this time around, we have seen Algeria and Ghana that have been eliminated in 20. It reminds us of 2021 when Ghana and Algeria were eliminated at the AUCUN, and of course in 2022 qualifiers, the 2022 FIFA World Cup, we had Ghana and Algeria eliminated in the first round. And then in 2023 AUCUN, we have seen Ghana and Algeria eliminated in the first round of this tournament. Is it a clear testimony that we can no longer classify these two teams as the favorites when it comes to AUCUN or any international competition out of the continent to represent Africa?
Well, I think it's not that they are not top teams when it comes to African football. You understand that the teams normally it's just that they are facing, I think I'll call it the depression for these two big giants. Yes, Ghana might not, the question of Ghana being a great giant in Africa is questionable, yes, because normally they last won the competition in 1984. That's, I mean, 1982, sorry, that's the last won the competition. And so since then, I think then when they were dominating football in Africa, you understand that it was due to a political issue where Kwame Nkrumah was trying to unite Africa. That's why you have the name Black Stars of Ghana. It signifies the black race in Africa. And so while they were doing that, they were like pushing sports as a way to get unity amongst Africans. This is why the Ghanaians had to dominate football in Africa for that particular moment in time. Then it was known as the Unity Cup. Then before Ghana won it, before it became it was the Unity Cup at that point. So looking at Ghana in the 21st century, you understand that they have been an average side. Yes, they've played two finals, went to the quarterfinals of the FIFA World Cup in 2010, but that mental winning spirit is lacking in this Ghanaian side. They've had great players in that period, from Stephen Appiah, from the likes of Samuel Kufu, John Mensah. Those were good players, Michael Essien, but however, they could not actually get to that level. They smelled it with the Ayew brothers in 2010 and 2015. They couldn't win it. So it's a depression for them, and I think they really need to have their football being revolutionized. They also had a problem of management problems. They've also gone through a normalization committee like Cameroon. In the last 5 years, or 5-7 years, and so it has been difficult for them to actually blend management of football and national team football. So that has been the key that has caused this Ghanaian team to actually fall down the pecking order. The same thing goes for Algeria, because if you look at Algeria, you understand that Algeria too is also facing that same issue in terms of depression. And if you look at Algeria, the last time they won the AFCON, or their first AFCON, was in 1990, and the country went through a depression from between 1992 to 2008. It was in 2008-2010 that they did some revolution, qualifying for series of AFCONs and a series of World Cups, and winning the Africa Cup of Nations again in 2019. And since then, they've also faced a depression, which has seen them not qualified for Qatar 2022, not qualified out of the group stage in 2 consecutive AFCONs. So it tells you that the teams, both Ghana and Algeria, are facing almost the same issue, almost the same problem, which they have to sit back and revolutionize their football. Look how the model of Senegal and Morocco is working, and see how they can get it to another level. I think that is the way forward for this Ghanaian side, because you look at it, if a coach like Jamal Bamazi can put a player like Mahrez on the bench in their last playing day, where they need a win to qualify, it shows the level of which Algerian football has nosedived. If the Ghanaians are still hoping on the Ayew brothers for glory, then it tells you where the Ghanaian football is. I think now they should be looking forward to seeing Mohamed Kudus as their man to play to his taste as far as the Ghanaian team is concerned. So if you look at it everywhere, the two teams are getting to their bad side of their country's football, which they have to revive. Yes, Bamazi has tried, he has won an AFCON for them. The likes of Ghana, they still have a lot of work to do. The last time we saw a Ghanaian team actually proving, it was in 2015 when they played the finals. But since then, they have been a shadow of themselves. And I will not be surprised that even Morocco 2025, they might not be able to qualify, because the manner in which I'm seeing this Ghanaian team, they are nowhere near match up with the current trend that is taking place in Africa. Same with Algeria. So it is not all about the fact that, yes, we are talking about the smaller teams trying to equate themselves with the bigger teams. But if you look at these Ghanaian teams and the Algerians, they are just facing a depression, which I would just call it a depression, because that's really a depression, because it happens to so many countries. We've seen the likes of Nigeria also going through that level. We've seen the likes of Morocco going through that level, and they have revived. We saw Senegal also going through that same system, where they had good players like Mamadou Niang, Diawara in the days, but couldn't perform. Al-Haj Diouf, they couldn't perform, but they had to go through the model which is now working for them. So I think that is the way forward, which the Ghanaians and the Algerians have to do.
All right, Josh, we already have the group stage of the competition, which ended yesterday, and of course 6 different coaches have been dismissed from their function. It has never happened in AFCON. Can we say football in Africa, things are falling apart? Quite challenging for teams like Cote d'Ivoire that dismissed her coach. Algeria, Ghana, we had equally Tanzania as well as Gambia not leaving out Tunisia.
Bon, certains n'ont pas été démis, hein, c'était des démissions, notamment Tom Saint-Fiet de la Gambie. C'est une démission d'ailleurs. Il semble que du côté de la Gambie, on se préparait à le voir partir à tout moment, parce que, dit-il, l'aventure se serait arrêtée là où la Gambie s'arrêterait dans cette compétition. Donc on peut comprendre donc que l'aventure s'est arrêtée à l'issue de la phase de poule, et que lui également rende le tablier. Par contre, effectivement, les autres ont été poussés à la sortie. Je pense notamment à Jean-Louis Gasset de la Côte d'Ivoire. Quoique la Côte d'Ivoire n'étant pas mathématiquement éliminée de la compétition, du côté des Ivoiriens, on a estimé que s'il fallait poursuivre la compétition en cours, il fallait faire confiance à d'autres personnes. C'est pour ça que Gasset a été démis, et à titre intérimaire, le duo Emers Faye et Alain Guamene vont poursuivre l'aventure avec les Ivoiriens. Souhaitons-leur plus de bonheur que leurs prédécesseurs. Pareil pour le Ghana, pareil pour l'Algérie avec Jamel Belmadi qui est parti. Et je pense que les Algériens ont même un peu trop tardé avant de le virer parce que il créait plus de tort à cette équipe d'Algérie que de bien. Depuis qu'il a gagné la Coupe d'Afrique, la Coupe d'Afrique effectivement des Nations avec l'Algérie en 2019, et depuis qu'il a été champion du monde champion du monde arabe au Qatar avec cette même sélection, il s'est vu trop beau. Il a cru que l'Algérie était imbattable, qu'aucune nation au monde ne pouvait venir à bout de cette équipe. Et donc, du coup, chaque fois que il venait de réaliser des contre-performances avec son équipe, plutôt que de faire son introspection, de voir exactement ce qui n'a pas marché à son niveau, non, c'était les autres le problème, la pelouse, la chaleur, l'hostilité du public, les arbitres, bref, il y avait toujours quelque chose pour justifier ses échecs, et jamais lui-même ou ses joueurs. Malheureusement, ça a desservi l'Algérie pendant longtemps. Et depuis la non-qualification à la Coupe du Monde, on a le sentiment qu'ils ne se sont jamais remis de cette élimination. Au Cameroun, éliminé au premier tour, bis repetita en Côte d'Ivoire. Je crois que enfin en Algérie, on a compris quel était le problème. Le problème, c'est Jamel Belmadi. Et en même temps, je pense que cette équipe est arrivée en fin de cycle. La moyenne d'âge de l'Algérie à cette Coupe du Monde aussi entre 29 et 30 ans. C'est beaucoup quand même. Vous avez des joueurs là qui ont largement dépassé la trentaine. Bagdad Bounedjah, Sofiane Fegoulé, Aïssa Mandi, Raïs Mboulé. There are so many players there that are over 30 years old. And at a moment, they cannot continue to perform the way they did in 2019 when they were African champions. Donc, pour certains, c'est pour insuffisant de résultats. Pour d'autres, c'est comme je l'ai dit, des démissions, des départs volontaires, peut-être parce que ne se sentant plus la force, les ressources ou même le challenge nécessaire pour poursuivre l'aventure.
All right, Mr. Lemaire, we are going to get a commercial break before we join back Jimmy Ateke so that he can contribute his own point on this particular subject matter before we get to liberate him.
Avec MTN Elite, redonnons au football camerounais toute sa grandeur. MTN pour la passion du foot. Alors, on fait quoi aujourd'hui?
Dans un stade de football, les supporters rivalisent, s'affrontent, mais une chose les unit tous, leur amour pour une bière exceptionnelle. Que vous soyez fou de l'ambiance ou fan du spectacle, rejoignez-nous pour célébrer la passion du football autour d'une délicieuse 33 Export. Avec 33 Export, on gagne ou on gagne. 33 Export, supporter numéro 1 du football. Boisson du Cameroun.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still live for your program Au Coeur de la CAN on Radio AUDACE. Jimmy Ateke, as you already know, 6 coaches have decided, who started this race with us, have decided to quit, and others were dismissed from their national teams. It's the very first time we're witnessing such. It tells us all that football in Africa has taken a new twist in the continent.
Yeah, it has taken a new twist in the continent, yes, like you said, because if you look at it, normally, that of Tanzania, I think they had to do away with their coach for improper conduct, having suspended by CAF for 8 games. So you were expecting not to be there, and so they had to also give him a suspension because he's not going to guide the team again to the competition or further to the competition. And we saw Chris Hughton. I think the Ghanaians were so angry, they were emotional at that point in time, and they were desperate that you can't be having a 2-goal lead against Mozambique, which is not having anything to lose or gain in the game, and then you throw away a 2-goal lead, so he has to be sacked. The likes of the guy from Cote d'Ivoire, I think he too also faced the same because there were already controversies. Why didn't he call the likes of Wilfred Zaha? That was questionable. Why wasn't a part of the team? Because as it stands now, the Ivory Coast doesn't have somebody that they can actually hope on. Like you have Mano with Senegal, like you have Abubakar with Cameroon. They don't have that person that can take them to glory. Reasons why you see when the performance started dropping, the federation had to think it wise to let go the coach. And also, like Bamaji too, I think he has been there for long and he has done like the other panelists said, they won the Asian World Cup and then they won the AFCON. So I think he has done something good, which he has to bow out to give room for another person to take over. So I think at this point in time, the coaches who have been sacked, yes, Tom Senfeld, I feel sorry for him because he has actually built something in Gambia. He's actually somebody whom I admire his football. When I covered the AFCON in Cameroon, I saw how we interacted together, and he's really somebody who masters his game, and you saw how the fight he put against Cameroon. And so I'm really, I feel sorry for him. He's the only coach amongst all the 6 that have been sacked or resigned. I feel pity for him because he's one person whom I admire so much. He fought brilliantly well against Cameroon, and he should have qualified. He should have qualified, but it's rather unfortunate. And so the competition keeps on having this drama upon drama. I think that's how it's going to happen again in the knockout rounds when teams will be getting defeated and we'll start seeing managers either resigning or either getting sacked. But it's just to show us a picture that African football is growing, is getting to a level where teams now can learn from the Europeans and build on their own small what they know about football. You could take a case of Namibia, like the panelist said, the case of Namibia and Mauritania. Those are teams who have never won a game in the AFCON, but for the first time Mauritania won a game in the AFCON and they qualified for the round of 16. It tells you how football has grown in Africa. It's not only about winning, but the spirit which the Mauritania had against Algeria. It tells you how football has evolved in that part of the world. The same with Namibia. Namibia took 4 points from Cameroon in the qualifiers, and they are also part of the round of 16. It tells you how these teams have grown. So it is no big news that football in Africa. I thank FIFA a lot because normally, though FIFA has its own flaws, but I thank them for their investments which they have done for these African nations. I think if you look at Gambia, they have built one of the best training pitches in Africa, following the FIFA Relief Fund, which was given to them. That's good initiative from the Gambian FA to develop football. So that already gives you a picture why African football is growing and getting towards a level which we can say we can be proud of ourselves that in the nearest future an African team might even go as far as playing the finals of the World Cup.
All right, thank you very much, Jimmy Ateke. We are going to part company at this point in time because we want you to catch up a breath since you have other assignments to cover out there in Boya. And hopefully we shall be hosting you again tomorrow as from 2 p.m. Thank you for your time.
Okay, it's always a pleasure to be part of your platform.
All right. Georges Rim, la belle famille sont qualifiés hier. Ils sont célébrés grâce à Maroc. Est-ce que l'équipe de la belle famille, quand tu regardes l'équipe de la belle famille, est-ce qu'ils sont prêts? Ils peuvent tenir face au Sénégal.
Vous savez, qualitativement, cette équipe de Côte d'Ivoire n'est pas mauvaise. Sur le plan individuel, elle regorge de joueurs d'un certain niveau. Je ne vais pas me mettre à citer les noms ici, on les connaît tous. C'est Fofana, Franck Kessié, Nicolas Pépé, bref, tous ces noms-là que vous connaissez très bien. Donc, qualitativement, il y a la ressource, il y a la matière dans cette équipe. Peut-être que le problème de cette équipe se situe au niveau de la transmission du message de la part du staff et notamment de l'entraîneur. Peut-être que c'est à ce niveau qu'il y a un souci. Et puis, il se dit également que Jean-Louis Gasset avait quelques problèmes avec des cadres de cette équipe, notamment Sébastien Allaire Franck Essier, Serge Aurier et Nicolas Pépé même à un moment donné. Donc, on peut se dire qu'une fois parti, ces tensions-là seront apaisées avec le nouveau staff qui a été mis sur pied. Je rappelle les noms, Emers Faye, lui-même ancien international de cette équipe, et Alain Guamené, que tout le monde connaît, emblématique gardien de la Côte d'Ivoire. Donc, il y a lieu de penser que avec la qualité qu'il y a dans cette équipe, dans cette effectif, avec le nouvel état d'esprit que va insuffler les nouvelles personnes qui sont à la tête de l'encadrement technique de cette équipe, oui, il y a lieu de penser qu'on peut retrouver une autre équipe de Côte d'Ivoire dès les huitièmes de finale, même si en face ce sera le Sénégal.
All right, I'm being joined this time around by Tabi, Emmanuel Tabi. Good afternoon, Tabi.
Good afternoon, Gwana Harry. Good afternoon to all the listeners back there in the economic capital of Cameroon, known as Douala.
Thank you for joining us. At this point in time, we are talking about the qualification of the La Belle Famille, Côte d'Ivoire, into the 8th final round of this competition. That's the knockout stage. It is the time when experience is being needed. It's true, we're having fresh men into this stage of the competition, but then this is the time that experience matters most for those who can withstand pressure to do so. What could be your reading after the first, at the end of the group stage of the tournament?
Yeah, certainly, Ngwana Harry, but I want to make you to understand that history has never failed us. You saw in 2013 when the Canadians had to play the finals against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. A lot of people were not expecting. Even in 2012, where Zambia, the Chipolopolo of Zambia, had to beat the almighty Côte d'Ivoire after post-match penalty by 11 goals to 10. Now, we are talking about the competition that will be entering into another crescendo as from the 27th of this month, where we are going to have the likes of Angola that is going to rub shoulder, just like Cameroon equally, that will be taking on the Super Eagles of Nigeria. It's going to be like a replica of 2019 when we played against them during the group stage of that competition. We suffered a defeat in the hands of Nigeria. They had to beat us by 3 goals to 2, and the lone goal for Cameroon was scored by Jet Clinton, who is part and parcel of the squad as far as the 2023 edition is concerned.
Now we equally have news about the early exit of some coaches from some teams, but due to poor results, the federations decided to flush them out, while others decided to run away from problems before the problems come in. This is the very first time we are recording such in history when it comes to soccer, and the AUCUN in particular in the continent. It tells us all that the AUCUN has become very much more competitive this time around.
Certainly. One side, that is the Côte d'Ivoire side, that who had to part ways due to poor performance. But now, the $1,000,000 question is: you are parting away from a competition where your team is still there. I don't think for me it's a wise decision. But we saw the Black Stars of Ghana had to exit their coach from the helm of the national football team. I think we should always learn to keep coaches maybe 2 or 3 years at the helm of a team. You don't expect a coach to spend just 3 seasons or 3 months, let me put it in that way, then you expect much from the coach. Like in the European continent, we have Chelsea, we have Real of Madrid, we have Atletico Madrid. We see that their coaches spend maybe a year or 2. And you know, those are clubs with best players in the world. But in the African continent, we have just few players who are playing in Europe in competitive leagues, and you bring some from the domestic leagues to emerge them, and they spend just 2 or 3 weeks, and it's not easy. You know, football is a collective game; it's not an individual game. That is why some might say people like Gijo Kocha, Kanu Wanko, when they go back to Europe, they play good football, but they came to Africa, they failed to prove to the continent. Reason being that they spent a lot of time with their various clubs in Europe, they coming to the African continent where they spend just 3 weeks or a month before the major competition, and that is why some of these coaches now suffer the fate, because they is saying that when a team is proving its worth, thanks and praises goes to the players. When a team is not proving its worth, blame always goes to the coaches.
Very important there, and of course, Jean-Rim, this is the much difficult time now for the teams in the 8th final round, because it is a do or die. If you succeed to win, there is Iyapalo match the return. At this point in time, most teams need to do what they call experiment. Use their experiment in doubling their effort to ensure that they pick up a win if they hope to play the quarter-final stage of this tournament.
Oui, c'est un nouveau tournoi qui commence, c'est une nouvelle compétition qui commence. Et comme tu l'as dit ici, il n'y aura pas 2 matchs, 3 matchs pour se qualifier. C'est sur un match que tout se joue. Et seules les équipes qui seront préparées, qui seront les mieux préparées, surtout sur le plan mental, hein, sur le plan psychologique, qui auront l'avantage sur les autres. Et j'ai presque envie de dire que certaines équipes vont avec cet avantage-là, parce que ayant disputé des matchs quasi similaires lors de la 3e et dernière journée. Le match Cameroun-Gambie, par exemple, de la 3e journée, c'est presque un match à élimination directe. C'est un match coupé pour le Cameroun. Il faut absolument le gagner pour accéder au 8e de finale. Donc ce n'est pas si différent que ça du match qu'ils disputeront samedi contre le Nigeria. Des pays comme l'Égypte également sont passés par là. Il leur fallait éviter une défaite contre leur dernier match, même c'était déjà contre qui là. Il leur fallait de toutes les façons éviter une défaite lors de la 3e et dernière journée, ce qu'ils ont réussi à faire après avoir pourtant été menés. Je pense que c'était le contre le Ghana. I think so.
Yeah, Ghana.
Yes. Et donc ces équipes-là, et même la Côte d'Ivoire, même s'il a fallu attendre que ce soit les autres qui l'aident à se qualifier, psychologiquement cette équipe est passée dans tous ces états. Donc les équipes qui ont vécu ces émotions-là me semblent mieux armés psychologiquement que les autres qui ont eu, on va dire, un parcours assez tranquille. C'est pas pour dire que, par exemple, dans le duel Côte d'Ivoire-Sénégal, que le Sénégal se fera bouffer par la Côte d'Ivoire parce que celle-ci a un moral assez dopé. Non. Mais je dis simplement que les autres qui se sont qualifiés facilement, entre guillemets, devraient se méfier de celles-là qui ont dû quasiment passé par des repêchages. Le Cameroun n'a pas été repêché, mais son dernier match contre la Gambie ressemble à quelques exceptions près à un 8e de finale. Pareil pour l'Égypte, pareil pour la Côte d'Ivoire. Donc ce type d'équipe-là, il faut s'en méfier lorsqu'on est parvenu à ce stade de la compétition. Parce que sur un match, tout est possible.
The Indomitable Lions of Cameroon have just arrived at Abidjan ahead of their game this Saturday and in the local stage of the tournament. And of course, we look at the standing so far in terms of goal scorers. We have Emilio Nsue of Equatorial Guinea, who is topping the chart with 5 goals. Baghdad Bonejam of Algeria with 3 goals. Mustafa Mohamed, Egypt, 3 goals. Jadan Ayo of Ghana with 2 goals. Lamine Camara of Senegal, 2 goals. Gelson Dala of Angola, 2 goals. Mohamed Kudus of Ghana, 2 goals. Mabululu of Angola, 2 goals. Lassen Sinayoko of Mali with 2 goals. Bertrand Traoré of Burkina Faso with 2 goals. And of course, in the absence of Vincent Abubakar, Cameroon is nowhere to be found on the standing table. We are glad that he is finally back, and back for good, to roll out this against the Super Eagles of Nigeria this weekend. Tabi?
Yeah, Henry, looking at the top goal scorers, you just made mention of the guy all the way from Equatorial Guinea, who is playing as a defender back there in his third division side in Spain, and currently playing as a striker with the Equatorial Guinea national football team as a top goal scorer with 5 goals. We saw last year where Vincent Abubakar was emerged as the top goal scorer as far as the AFCON was concerned. And looking at the previous winners, as you just mentioned, from 1954 when the competition began, we realized that just for a few players coming from the Central African region emerging as top goal scorers. You used to have the names of Roger Abe Mila, Samuel Tufis, Pakunde Mboma, Vincent Abubakar, and a host of others. So I think for me, it's a good step for the Central African region in the sense that if the likes of Equatorial Guinea are coming up, we saw what Gabon did in 2019, despite the fact that they fell out in the competition during the semi-finals of that championship. And you just made mention of the pairings equally that will be coming up as far as the game, the biggest game to watch this week will pit the Super Eagles of Nigeria against Cameroon. I remember our first edition, one that was in 1984 in Cote d'Ivoire. We had to beat them by 3-1 during the finals of that competition. I remember Nigeria opened score during the first segment of that encounter, but finally Cameroon had to carry the day, beating them by 3-1. We won our second edition, that was in 1988 in Morocco, when Kunde Emmanuel scored the lone goal, where we had to beat them by 1-0. Third came in 2000, that was on the 10th of February 2000, when we played the finals back then in Lagos, when we pulled the 2-all parity. The first goal was scored by Samuel Tufis at the 36th minute, and Patunde Mboma scored at the 59th minute, before we saw Chukwunjupe Raphael, who scored at the 45th minute during the first segment of that encounter, and JJ Austin Okocha finally gave the curtain raiser for Nigeria, making it 2-all tie. That was around the 76th minute. We finally went up to post-match penalty to carry the day by 4-3. It tells you that Cameroon knows the secret of the Nigerians. But since 2004, you will agree with me that we lost to Nigeria during the quarterfinals of the AFCON. We were being eliminated by Nigeria. They won us 2-1. One of the goals coming from JJ Austin Okocha. And in 2019, they had to beat us by 3-2. It tells you that football is evolving, and now the handwriting on the walls has changed.
Very important, Georges Rim. Nous sommes presque à la fin de cette édition de votre émission Au cœur de la CAN sur Radio AUDACE FM 106.8. Les Lions viennent d'arriver à Abidjan pour préparer le match contre le Nigeria ce samedi à partir de 21h. Vincent Abubakar est de retour. Pareil pour Clinton J. Ça sera chaud ce week-end face au Nigeria à Abidjan.
Ce qui donne raison à l'encadrement médical, au staff médical et au staff technique des Lions qui ont décidé de maintenir dans le groupe Vincent Abubakar après sa blessure quelques jours simplement avant le début de la compétition et l'entrée en lice du Cameroun. Les fins limiers du staff médical savaient qu'il était possible de le récupérer en cours de compétition, parce que une équipe comme le Cameroun ne va pas à une compétition en se disant on y va pour jouer 3 matchs, surtout pas une compétition comme la Coupe d'Afrique des Nations où nous sommes parmi les records team de victoires. Et donc quand on va à une compétition, on se projette sur le long terme dans cette compétition. On se donc dit que si on passe les huitièmes, le premier tour, qui dure sensiblement les 2 semaines, qui représentait la durée d'indisponibilité de Vincent Abubakar, il était donc possible de le récupérer à partir des huitièmes de finale. Et c'est ce qui semble être le cas si on s'en tient au communiqué rendu public par le staff médical des Lions indomptables, qui disent que Vincent Abubakar et Clinton J seront présents, du moins dans le groupe qui va affronter le Nigeria samedi prochain. Et il est donc possible, pourquoi pas, de voir l'un ou l'autre titulaire. Mais pour moi, s'il pouvait même commencer sur le banc, ce serait pas une mauvaise chose comme cela, en fonction de l'évolution, en fonction de ce que le match sera, et les faire rentrer, parce que n'oublions pas qu'ils ont simplement repris l'entraînement collectif il y a quelques jours, je crois 2 ou 3 jours, et je ne pense pas qu'ils soient physiquement aptes ou prêts à être lancés tout de suite dans le bain. Ils peuvent être remplaçants et rentrer en cours du jeu selon ce que sera la situation entre-temps. Mais c'est déjà une bonne chose que de savoir qu'ils sont remis sur pied et donc opérationnels.
All right. right, Tabi Ayok, we tomorrow shall be talking about the build up to the game, the crucial game against the Indomitables of Cameroon. Remember that tomorrow they'll be granting a press conference ahead of the clash, pitting the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Perhaps the Lions are already in Abidjan, and of course, we are hoping that they do that which we are expected. We do hope for another miracle in this stage of the competition.
As for now, anything can happen in the game of football. I always tell people that football is not mathematics being solved on the blackboard. Now the Lions are already on Abidjan. They left Bouaké. That was yesterday, and we're having their last training sessions. That will be tomorrow, hoping to take on Nigeria. And from all we are gathering from Abidjan is that Jay Clinton and Hassan Abubakar will be fit for tomorrow's Saturday's game. And I believe there were just 6 of them who were part and parcel of the 2019 squad. And these 6 players, I think they are going to bring the experience and what they realized in 2019 with the young ones that are coming up, the likes of Castillo and others who are really proving their worth. So I think for me, the press conference for tomorrow, someone has just one thing to say. He wants to make Cameroonians proud, just like what he has been saying, that he knows Cameroonians are worried and he's doing everything possible on his part to see that Cameroon should carry the day. Not only the game they played against Gambia, but making sure that we go right up to the semi-finals. That is what we are expecting, because if Cameroon had to beat Nigeria on Saturday, our next opponent will either be let me say Gambia, that is Angola or Namibia. If Cameroon had to beat Nigeria, means Cameroon will face Namibia or Angola, and it's going to be an easy ride for us to sail through to the semi-finals of that competition. And if we had to beat either Angola or Namibia, then now we'll see if we are going to take the likes of Egypt, who is also in that pool. So let's just keep our finger crossed and see the outcome of the game of on Saturday against the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much, Ayok Tabi Emmanuel from Kumba. Thank you very much, George Rim. We hope to be back again tomorrow at some 2 p.m. on your program Au Coeur de la CAN to keep you edified as far as the ongoing competition is concerned out there in Ivory Coast. Like I said earlier on, the Indomitables of Cameroon have arrived safely in Abidjan to get acclimatized ahead of their crucial encounter at the knockout stage of this year's tournament in Côte d'Ivoire. Now, they shall be playing on Saturday against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. You must understand, you know the history, the soccer history between both sides, right? So keep your fingers crossed. Let's wait for tomorrow to get to listen from the press conference from the technical staff. Then on Saturday, what the game shall have to produce. I have been Henry Wana at the anchor in Douala, saying thanks for being there for us. Thank you very much, Mr. Le Maire at the AUDACE. Let's meet again tomorrow. Set into our programs on Radio AUDACE. Good afternoon.
Radio AUDACE 106.8 FM.
Pour le plaisir de cette consommation.